I imagine this stuff also got reset here. It doesn't break as soon as I load this logo again. Go. Oh, this fist fellow again. I should try saving. And this save scumming that whole lockpick thing, I don't know exactly how that has to work here. Should we even try to push our luck? And I don't even know the chest that we're gonna try to lockpick just now. This tier is even the right one. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Cost 1 drive or 2. The connection. The slider. Line all the sliders. And then up and down selects different ones. Gotta tell when they are and aren't lined up right now though. And if you run out of lockpicks, well, you're just out of luck, I guess.
Kaum war in der Kolonie, schon war Bote der Feuermagier. Klang einfach. Sich dem alten Lager anzuschließen, musste sich erst ein paar Freunde bei den Schatten machen. Könnte sich einen Namen im neuen Lager machen, sich den Banditen anschließen, doch Lares legt großen Wert auf die Meinung seiner Männer.
No, okay, it saves after. Fortunately, it auto saves after you fail a lock here. That's not going to work. What's the blacksmith? Does it need to be a lockpick here? Of course it does. Just our luck then. Also, his fingers fellow again here. Well, the situation where the autosave is working against me here. Let me back around here. Grabbed. There's mud again. He just seemed to come and go as he pleased and basically following us.
Es gibt da ein paar Leute, die versuchen.
I see the downside of having follow. He just randomly interjects every now and then. No reason.
Was kannst du mir beibringen?
Or 80.
Das passiert mir nicht nochmal. Diese fiesen Schweine. Gequatscht wird viel.
That's all we need in here. Six. Six. This 2 times the left. 2 Comes to left. Comes to right. Two to the right. First player, twice to the right. There we go. We have our ring.
Weißt du was? Ich tu dir einen Gefallen. Ich will...
Did lose 2 lockpicks for it, but sure once you get to the inner camp won't be a problem here.
Ich habe den Ring.
Here's a stinking ring.
Verdammt, du hast es drauf. Jemanden wie dich können wir gebrauchen. Wenn Diego mich fragt, wird er nichts als Lob hören.
That's one quest done.
Mich ja für einen durchgeknallten Spinner. Aber jemand wie du würde sich niemals mit einem Spinner sehen lassen. Du bist mein bester Freund hier drin. Die anderen wollen mich immer nur loswerden. Ich bin dir echt dankbar.
And
Hör mal, die Rennerei...
here, go to right once more. Fletcher, don't bug me about anything. Okay, good. Like somewhere past here, I think. Yeah, that guy. There are fists. Ah, there's his face.
Ich will ein Schwert kaufen.
Dann hast du Glück gehabt. Den kostet 110 R.
110.
Vielleicht später.
Okay. But selling for significantly more than they actually need here. Go back to him again.
Fisk will jetzt 110 Erz für dein Schwert.
Und ich soll dir jetzt noch 10 Erz geben.
Ich dachte, du legst Wert auf dein Schwert.
Hier, nimm. Und jetzt beeil dich.
So now I have 110. Go back to him.
Ich will ein Schwert kaufen.
Dann hast du Glück gehabt. Kostet 100.
Ja, ich nehme es.
Du hast ein gutes Geschäft gemacht. Das ist nun wirklich nicht mein Problem.
Here's your sword. Curiosity. Let's look at it. 20. I need 17 strength. Okay. Wow. They want to keep it. I can't even use it anyways.
Ich hab dein Schwert.
Here you are.
War ja auch nicht wirklich schwierig. Wie auch immer. Eine Hand wäscht die andere. Falls Diego mich nach dir fragt, ist dir meine Stimme sicher. Bis dahin, mach's gut.
Nice, that's 2 then. Look, if I could just get Thoris's vote alone would be enough to let me in here.
Nee, was die anderen Lager machen, ist mir echt egal. Du hast gar nichts zu tun, was?
From here. See if they also do the whole. That fallacy where you can like climb on the tarps. No, don't vault the thing. Climb it, damn it. Right. Make it. Make the jump. Greetings, Valentine. You've caught me at a very sneaky part. I'm about to get myself a very good, possibly very good mace here. Just had a little trouble finessing the whole parkour system here. Okay, let's see. I think I should really grab this stuff here. Gothic. Well, this is a remake of a very old German hardcore RPG that just came out yesterday, in fact. The game is about you being a nameless nobody and the journey you take. The very long journey. To eventually be someone who isn't afraid of anyone. There's a very thin overarching plot, but the whole point is the world, your interactions with it, and how you conquer the challenges that it presents you. It is very old school and very old school and hardcore, and there's no maps, no directions, no objective markers. And the appeal is that you have to actually pay attention and listen to everything anyone says to you. And if you were here earlier, you'll also discover that it still has that classic Eurojank appeal. Very buggy and inconsistent mechanics. They fixed some of them, but some of the other ones are still very much present. Perhaps some new ones as well. Oh, and so far I've noticed it has been having some performance issues if you leave it running for too long. Zhang Shonki for the shed and okay, so surprisingly picked up something that we can use at the very beginning of the year. It's 19 strength. Currently my stats are 10. I need to invest 9 points in it. I don't know if it costs per. Does that might have problems? Alright. So, currently I'm trying to be allowed entry into this castle because we just arrived and nobody trusts us or likes us. And we're gonna have to earn the trust of one of the few elites in this castle. One side quest at a time. I don't know about GTA, but it's very much a predecessor to Skyrim, but with even less directions and a lot more for you to get lost in.
Mordrak wird nie wieder irgendwen bestehlen.
Du hast ihn geschafft? Nicht schlecht, Kleiner. Nicht schlecht.
He's here.
Ich mir merken.
Würdest du mich für eine entsprechende Menge Erz in die Burg lassen?
Do we make it cheaper now that I did this job for you?
Nun,
Sag schon.
1000.
1000?
Nope.
Schön, dass
Well, we did all that. That didn't change much, unfortunately. Alright, where is that Diego here?
Was ist die Prüfung des Vertrauens?
du sollst für mich zur alten Mine gehen.
Oh, okay.
Siehst du
Yeah,
einen
it
Typen
was.
begegnen, sag ihm, die Crawler sehen hungrig aus.
Old mine
Liste geben.
man named
Auf der
Ian.
steht drauf, was die Jungs in der Mine von uns brauchen. Das schicken wir ihnen dann mit dem nächsten Transport.
Kein Problem.
Oh doch, das ist es. Das neue Lager darf auf keinen Fall die Liste in die Finger bekommen. Wie ich schon sagte, die Liste ist wichtig. Wenn du die Sache gut machst, bringt dich das einen großen Schritt weiter.
Und das mit den hungrigen Crawlern?
Du ahnst es bereits.
Ihr habt ein Kennwort.
Oh, and if you notice the stream disconnect at any point, it's because my software randomly crashes. I assume because as this game leaks memory, it also bumps into causes problems or everything else running on my PC here. So I will be restarting it, and I'll be going for another hour and a half.
Wo finde ich
How do I
diese
get to the
Mine?
old mine?
Geh zu Graham, er zeichnet Karten. Sag ihm, du
Graham, our photographer, sent
soll dir die Karte
you.
geben,
He'll give you a
dann
map
wirst du die Mine finden. Er wohnt drüben, links, neben dem Nordtor.
right beside the north gate. Okay, but which way is the north gate? Is this the north gate? Anyone in here? Grim Shadow. Guard. I remember running into a Graham. Can't recall now where though. Ah, here he is.
In seiner Haut will ich
Actually, just hanging out by the food pot, I guess.
Ich bin neu hier.
Ich bin Graham.
Diego schickt mich.
Eine
Er
Hand
sagt, du
wäscht
sollst
die
mir eine
andere.
Karte geben, auf der der Weg zur alten Mine verzeichnet ist.
Kein Problem. Für dich nur 20 Erz.
So, Valentine, what do you think about Gothic so from where you're seeing? You think you'll be interested in trying it out? Something about it? Nah, you don't. You need to see more of first? Let me know. They say give me the map. Let's tell me what.
Diego sagt, du sollst mir die Karte geben, nicht verkaufen.
Diego kann sagen, was er will. Hast du eine Ahnung, wie viel Arbeit es macht, so ein Ding zu zeichnen?
We'll have to see it to tell me the details.
Spezialpreis für Freunde von Diego. Normalerweise würde ich 50 nehmen.
Ich komme wieder.
She's not gonna give it to me. Let's try talking to Diego again. The graphics, huh? Well, to be fair, from what you, I must say, these are the lowest possible graphics because I have a very old computer. You're to go to like one of the more people, streamer with more viewers. It'll probably look better. So I can't give you like a good grasp of what it would look like at the very best. But still very much a lot more detail than the original version, which are like looks like lumps of potato.
Warum hast du mir
Weil du Hilfe gebraucht hast.
Okay. So I can't pay him, huh? For an actual map, unfortunately. Comrade versus is one way of putting it. Alright, where is the old mine here? Alright. Get to the old mine. Once again. Okay, so this is the south gate. Wait, from here, we'll have to go all the way to the other end of this place. Just to the curiosity, Valentine, what would constitute good graphics for you? Like photorealistic individuals? Because when I think about it, say like, for example, the GTA 6 trailer, would you say that like very good graphics that would make it worth playing?
bestimmt nicht.
I grew up with like, or I wouldn't say grow up, I would say my experience with games is like all very for the current generation we consider retro now. We like the 2000 1900 stuff, like Soldiers of Payback or 14 to Pokemon. Oh, that's like stylized stuff then. So that would also be like I would say like JRPG stuff then. Actually no, this is the Southgate. 14, that would be so good graphics. Yeah, I see. In that case, something similar to that then with these sort of graphics. Maybe there actually aren't that very like Eurojank hardcore games with a very stylized stuff. Heck, it's hard enough finding anime style MMOs. I guess it would be something like classic Mabinogi then, or Star Wars Galaxy's Legends, mechanic wise, because those also have like they give you quests, but then you also have to like actually look at the map. Well, it has like maps and stuff, but you actually have to like look at the direction to see where it's sent you and like explore consoles and stuff to figure out where to go. Okay, from here we have to go left, and then just from here follow the road, and at the end it should be the old mine. Is it solely the graphics so far that you don't find very appealing? Actually, I can somewhat sympathize though, because one of my like long-term goals once I can have some extra revenue is I want to make like games like all the ones I've played so far, like old school MMOs, like MMO FPSs, and even old school style stuff like this, but but all just with an anime style. It's just a matter of getting the funding for it. I am, of course, also still working on them by myself too, with my studio, Wall Studios. Enjoy be decisive what games you like to play. Interesting. Is it the time investment that you're finding hard? I mean, just huh. Have you been able to pinpoint why exactly that is? Because my problem more with games is usually that the ones I do enjoy, they finish, and then I personally just enjoy playing games solely doing the main story. Self exploration, like exploring the world by setting your own goals. I think Final Fantasy 14 sort of has that, right? Where it's like you can like uncover more of the map as you do. All right, well we're here into the. Okay, we have to go into the mine to find Santino. Usually, I play the game. Not as interesting as side quests. Just finish the main story, then that's all the enjoyment I get out of it. Not as much in the whole exploration. Like treating the game like an extended interactive storybook. Ah,
Was kannst du mir über die Mine sagen?
here he is.
Nun, sie ist dunkel. Du weißt, was ich meine. Schätze schon. Hier, wo wir uns befinden, ist der Hauptschacht.
Oh yeah, I did ton of that too. Like, if you ever heard of Order and Chaos and Star Wars Galaxy, there's like guilds you could sign up to.
Ganz unten steht die Schmelze.
Roleplay as like a Jedi Padawan and building a lightsaber for the first time, or Star Wars Galaxies, becoming apprentice in the guild to become a Mandalorian.
Auf was sollte ich in dem... Vor allem auf... Wir mussten wegen... Erzähl... Nun, ich hab... Wenn du ein Bier ausgibst...
More beer.
Wenn du mehr wissen...
You give a Viper Smelter.
Wir sehen uns.
Who you were outside the character, huh?
Handelst du?
Kommt drauf an, wer...
Was soll das heißen?
Das bedeutet, ich suche...
Was meinst du?
Das sage ich dir, wenn ich es sehe.
And then you find it.
Wenn du glaubst, dass es mich interessieren könnte...
You used to be able to roleplay a lot, but then you sort of lost contact with like your character in the world.
Ich hab hier was.
Na.
Ich höre nicht mehr auf das Gefasel. Was macht ihr... Warum? Wegen ihrer... Was für ein... Ein Gift. Bis dann. Möge...
So the special pieces quest.
Warum?
Was? Meine Zeit ist...
Ich hab... Kann schon sein.
Okay, we have that. Head east from you. Look for a ladder. Look for a ladder going down. Oh, you got too immersed in the character, I see. I see it. Very unique conundrum one can find themselves in. Well, for that, I'd say it's a matter of being able to like mentally separate yourself. People in the game, or feel like you'll be deceiving people in your IRL persona? Because normal to always feel like you're putting on a mask when you're out and about here, but that's going off the assumption that you mean like deceiving. The message a bit behind. I'm not sure what you mean, like deceiving people. First, I'll use the example of like deceiving people in like your real life, where like your in-game persona is your true self. I say that's good though. If for 14 you're able to do something you're bad at, because you can sort of take pointers from that, but at the same time have like a mental barrier set between your real life and your virtual self. And even two opposing goals for it's like, for example, your online persona or my online persona, so it's like have fun to be able to do as I please, whereas in real life, there's a there's actually a ton of if it's that's the case. There's a ton of animes about that sort of conundrum that otakus have. Otakus have, which is like one name, for example, sort of like that is uh I was like, so there are g- real life girls like that too as well. It was like something like that. It was the shorthand was like it was like one where the character lived out like a role, and then it was like and then they romanced like a lady who role played as a man in the game, and then that lady took that persona into real life and then chased the main protagonist about that, and then the whole anime was about like the girl learning to like embrace her real life persona.
Was ist in dem Lager? Das geht dich nicht. Solange geht dich. Hier.
Or another one was like two coworkers have like in-game personas, and then the struggle is like to getting to know each other outside of their person.
Gibt's denn jetzt in dem ein paar Truhen verschwunden?
I assume you've seen it then. I don't remember what it's called though.
Solange ich damit nichts zu tun habe.
Oh, so I didn't mean to pick that up or that.
Bei dir kann ich.
Du kannst alles haben.
So like miscellaneous stuff.
Bist du Ian, der Chef der Mine?
Ja, ich bin Ian. Und das hier ist meine.
Yeah, it's just a matter of like having a hobby. There's no need to change your mindset like where you just if you just consider even being in real life, like role playing. Like I role play in real life. My class is salaryman, and I consider real life a very immersive MMO that's also very pay to win. And my current goal
Die Crawler sehen Hunger.
in this real life MMO
Sieh an.
is to be able to have my own personal player housing, where your virtual self is your real life persona, so to speak. But the hardest part is just not, you still have to not get too attached to your virtual and make more your real life strive towards your ideal, especially when MMOs. Because the hard part is when the MMO shuts down and then that character that you put so much investment into is lost. Definitely a very more harsh moral blow.
Ist das nicht Gomez Mine?
Ja, natürlich ist das die Mine des alten Lagers.
Yeah, because Valentine, I've also had real life friends that had this sort of problem opposing their character. Oh, friends, I put very loosely. It was more like clients when I worked part time at a psychologist clinic, and I was like a linner.
Kannst du mir ein paar...
Wir fördern hier
Ich habe gehört, dass...
eine Armee.
Yeah. Grappling with that advantage, putting myself in the shoes, that's the advice I would suggest. Alright, now that we have the thing, we need to just take the list back to Diego, it looks like. That's the requirements. Oh, also, for some reason, every time we open. When it comes to like your virtual, I suppose, personas that you put out. Oh yeah, another obvious one, naturally. The Persona series too, where the whole thing is about like, and that one's an actual video game in itself, where like the whole thing is about like putting on mask and like which is your real self and being able to like. And then speaking of that too, there's this very old show, real life show, which is based off like the Winnie the Pooh series. It was like called something like the 100 Acre Woods, where it's like about like a grown up Christopher Robbins, and then when he goes back, it's like he doesn't want to go back to his real life. He wants to stay in like his fantasy realm forever. It was like a movie that came out. You watched that one as well? That also sort of has that whole issue. Though I think that will become more of like a late coming of age story. Where it's like an adult coming to grasp and moving on from their childhood. I mean, combat mode, I guess. If you know the name of that movie, feel free to remind me. Yeah, so that was also a thing that addresses that kind of point. But yeah. You know, you'll enjoy games more. I think it's all when it's like have different like creating different characters and MMOs having alt, so to speak, but in different games and in different dimensions of reality. Oh crap! No, not that way. Feminine. Well, have you ever told people you trust about this issue to try to help you grapple with it? Found anyone that could give you some hands-on help with the issues you're facing? Or even just having someone willing to listen to you that you trust definitely helps a lot sometimes. Well, that's good then. Then in a way, Valentine, you could say that you do have someone you can be yourself around that embraces your true self. Where you live, that's a different story. Not quite sure what you mean by that on that front.
Ich höre nicht mehr auf das Gefasel.
Really, definitely is not as exciting or as easy as it is in video games. Where it's like adventures and quests and experience that you just need to level up and get better, and boom, that solves all your problems.
Gut gemacht.
Since games are all about challenges,
Wie steht's mit meinem Ansehen im Lager?
Ich hab mal
interesting. Would you care to tell me more about the environment that you're in? Like,
erzählt.
is it a country that in particular is not very opening of what you consider yourself?
Hält jedenfalls große Stücke auf dich. Fingers sagt, du hättest was gelernt. Denkt, du wirst noch einiges besser werden. Torus sagt, so einen wie dich können wir brauchen. Das allein ist schon verdammt viel wert für dich. Alles in allem schon nicht so schlecht für einen neuen.
Ich höre nicht mehr auf das Gefasel.
Somewhat relate to your plight as well. Because of my experience in the forces, left me some permanent physical and mental scars that make me think and talk different than others I would consider quote unquote regular around me. Ah, I see.
Hast du was zu essen für mich?
Das ist nun wirklich nicht mein Problem.
Yes.
Das ist nun wirklich nicht mein Problem. Man muss wissen, mit wem man reden muss.
Oh, 6 out of 7 quest.
Ich habe gehört, er hat Schulden. Kann schon sein.
So yeah, I definitely do a lot of masking myself as well. When I chose to get my education in be admin, we're dealing with cutthroats of the regular thinking sort, and you sort of have to brush off your way of thinking as a dynamic, experienced approach to unique problems in the corporate life. But when it comes to dealing with masking, there's ever a time when you can overcome it, I should say. More surround yourself with people and have an environment where it's not necessary to have to use that skill anymore.
Eine Hand wischen.
Der Schläfer sei mit. Ich bin hier.
Eine Hand wischen. So ist es
Should have found this. And that's why it's so important to have friends, close ones, loved ones. Make as many as you can.
Ich will dem alten Lager.
Ja, im Sumpflager gibt es einen Typen namens Kalom. Mein Crawler-Sekret.
Was hält dich davon ab?
Kalom, der alte Sack, spricht mit niemandem.
The swamp camp.
Testet Kalom.
Hört sich nach einer Schwierigkeit.
Irgendwann wird Diego mich.
Es kann sein, dass ich für das Rezept bezahlen muss. Gib mir 50 Erz als Vorschuss.
Vergiss es.
Okay, ich werde sehen, ob ich... Was ist Sumpf?
Neu.
Wo ist das Sekt?
Durch den Südausgang.
Head out to the south can keep going east.
Der Südausgang ist der...
Stimmt, genau.
Zeig mir deine...
Besseres Zeug.
Sell stuff as well.
Jetzt, wo du bei mir bist, können wir...
Das ist nun wirklich nicht mein Problem.
Is there... Oh yeah, I kind of got sidetracked a bit, Valentine. So I'll address your point later. The first question I was gonna ask is this whole persona battle you face. Is it one you face in every game, or is there one particular game that you currently consider yourself very attached to, that you would consider like your main ideal personality? If not, or is it just like every game you play is an aspect of yourself that you consider better than your real life, so to speak? Let's slow it down so we're not like constantly having two different conversations at the same time. Feel free to answer that question first.
Was willst du?
And then I'll get to this point, this message that you just put out here.
Wir sehen uns spät.
Sag mal, wohin geht es eigentlich? Oder ist das eine Überraschung für mich? Ich mag Überraschungen.
Go from this direction to it.
Lass dich von mir nicht stören. Ich bleib einfach
Okay.
bei dir. Keines...
So mainly as like 14, but overall in all of them, like if for some reason your heart fears you will lose everything you care for. Lose what exactly? Lose real stuff?
Hast du eigentlich keinen Plan, wo du hin willst? Suchst du ein stilles Plätzchen, wo wir ein bisschen reden können und so?
Okay.
Kann schon sein.
The 180, huh? How would you lose your family belongings and home though? despite like lose your family belongings and home by dropping the mask. Well, there definitely is situations where you're not the character that some person set expectations for. That rejection can be expressed by the people around you very negatively. And that rejection resolve in outward punishments, like examples people don't approve. Okay, because I interpret when you say like for so long, as in when you do it longer, that you would lose the stuff you mentioned here. If you mean it's when you don't keep your mask going that you would lose the stuff, then in that regards, then it's definitely difficult. But that's just where you gotta seek outside resources and the social welfare programs around you if you feel like your current situation ever is beyond your capacity to withstand. But otherwise, yeah, it's definitely mad. Like if you're young and relying on your parents for shelter and sustenance, you just gotta keep it up until you can get out of the place. If like you can't find like a program that will offer you housing or to go into higher education so you can like stay at their dorms or like a scholarship or something. Or just pull the trigger entirely and be willing to leave the house even if it means dealing with problems that living on the streets can entail. Sometimes you can get lucky though if you have close associates like friends who are willing to take you in and while you get back on your feet. Of course, if you're really really lucky, then you're a very entrepreneur who can make your own way in life, and in terms of cash, charisma, or caring in others.
Sich dem alten Lager anzuschließen, musste sich erst ein paar Freunde bei den Schatten machen. Könnte sich einen Namen im neuen Lager
Like certain countries, I know, like the UK, for example, if you have difficulties at home and you actually can't stay there any longer, a lot easier to get back on your feet and become an independent adult. Because they offer you housing, training, work. And the shelter they provide you does have a sense of privacy to it. Other places like North America, you kind of have to go to a shelter or a group home if you want to strike it out on your own. Okay, finally reached the clamp here.
Ich habe gehört, ihr seid auf der Ein Suchender also. Wenn es dir wirklich ernst ist, aber du darfst ihn nicht. Wie soll das funktionieren? Das findest Könnt ihr noch einen gute Leute suchen? Es ist die höchste. Wir tun alles, was... Wer sind eure... Iberion, der Erleuchtete.
Year core.
Das sieht lecker aus. Gib mal her.
That's one of my long-term goals. Consider like one of the in a decade sort goal to be able to create a society. A little more influence. People can just do as they please, stay as they please.
Hey. Wer bist du? Gut, dass du bald... Erzähl mir was über... Was willst du? Was? Das die meisten Leute... Ich will der Bruder... Allerdings ist er sehr beschäftigt. Also muss ich zu... Wie soll das funktionieren? Wenn sie der Meinung sind, dass du dich Hier im Lager werden sie...
Or if you have the problem is convincing your parents. If you can think of anyone that they particularly respect enough and are willing to be able to change their mind, that's also an option.
Das passiert mir nicht nochmal. Einfach machen. Muss eben aufpassen, was man so rum erzählt. Alles klar?
But if you feel, but going back to the core issue, now that we've gone on a bit of a tangent here, the whole problem is that you feel like your real life character is inferior to your
muss ja nicht gleich jeder wissen.
virtual one.
Was ist deine Aufgabe?
Meine? Darum Meister EB.
Und wann ist es soweit?
Oh, im Moment bin ich ganz zufrieden mit meiner jetzigen Aufgabe.
So I was like kind of splitting my attention, paying attention to the dialogue and thinking of what I was trying to say at the same time here.
Ich will mich eurem Lager anschließen. Kannst du mir dabei helfen?
But yeah, I was like, if you're feeling your real life persona doesn't match up to your virtual persona,
Warte mal. Ja,
maybe
glaube ich kann dir helfen.
finding
Ich bin zwar noch kein Guru, aber
something and then
einigen Einfluss in der Bruderschaft.
also writing down too, like
Kleinen Gefallen tun. Bist du schon
the
bei
stuff you accomplish and in the virtual realm compared to the meat realm, we shall humorously call it. You kind of set expectation for yourself. Like in real life, there isn't like magic or adventurers guild or giant dragons that will come and endanger society, endanger humanity. There's no way you can, of course, strive to be like your characters in RPGs. Well, a joke we always shared among servicemen is the French Foreign Legion is always hiring. If you really feel like you reached the dead end in life, you can, if you don't mind going to Marseille. There's 2 recruiting offices, one in the main office in Paris. And go to one of the recruiting centers. You don't even need to speak French. There's one Paris and one in Aubin. But I suggest you go to the Aubin one because the Paris one, they don't subsidize you for your screening because it takes you a month
Ja, ich habe ihn getroffen.
for them to like
Hast du
determine if
besprochen,
you're
tägliche
worth
Ration
the
bekommen?
scuff.
Denk drüber nach.
They pretty much reinvent you from the ground up, all expenses paid. If they tell you, well, psychologically, a way to get your parents to tell you to move out. Also, subsidize it at the same time would be if you can convince them that it's their own decision to get you out of the house rather than something you want yourself. Because if you can make it so that they want you to get out, then of course they'll be a lot more lenient about what they're willing to offer
Hey du.
to make that happen.
Hi, ich bin neu hier und
In anderen Worten,
zeig mir dein
lass dir Zeit.
The classic tried and true method. Try some of those seasons. Ah, had a similar thought to my suggestion that
Ich habe nicht den richtigen Schlüssel. Wenn du meinst.
definitely difficult though, guys. Very much a complex psychological manipulation of individuals. Well, that's because I know, or I knew someone who was very good at convincing people that the decision was theirs. Like, for example, being able to say the words like red, fruit, circle can make people think of the item apple. That, but on a larger scale, gonna convince people to nudge them towards having certain thoughts and making decisions.
Kannst du mich trainieren? Kannst du mich trainieren?
Nein, ich trainiere nur Templer.
So because I saw it happen first, I know it is entirely possible to do.
Das passiert mir nicht nochmal.
Even for him, I consider him a bit of a prodigy in terms of psychological manipulation. Yeah, we were like a group of 3. The other one was would you consider a tech whiz, which for me, in a way, I guess you could say I drew the short straw. And I was very good at using my brawn, which when you retire, it's a lot less useful compared to the other skills. They say it's always said during the public service, like becoming a cop or firefighter or the armed forces is always the easiest route to independence. I hate to say it, but it's still a fact of life. It's from the very beginning that is their main recruiting process to always have new blood. And that's the route I myself took in order to be able to have the pension to retire safely. No, there's something you're very good at. For just being able to get onto this platform and be able to send messages. It's one that older generations who have been lacking experience in technology don't have and can't learn anymore due to the way that the brain matter
Die Klamotten.
Stimmt.
inside the head has already been set.
Weil Tondral sagt, er ist beeindruckt. Das muss.
Ich schätze, du warst
Für eine Schüssel.
Du glaubst
Du siehst nicht aus wie ein... Du siehst aus wie ein Suchender. Du siehst... Ich sehe, dass du an... Es sind Lügen. Und so sage ich dir. Weißt du, was... Mach... Wie... Und dann wer...
Hey, du hast mich angesprochen.
Ich spüre groß... Ich habe dich...
Wie kann ich dir meine...
Wenn du dafür sorgst.
Wo kann ich neue...
Das alte Lager ist ein guter Ort dafür. Denn viele, die dort leben, sind der Angst und der Lügen überdrüssig.
Do you have any particular hobbies you enjoy currently doing?
Da wirst du wahrscheinlich weniger Glück haben. Die Männer...
Menial or sophisticated otherwise?
Wieso braucht...
Der Schläfer hat unseren Meister... Aber er ist noch nicht zu sein...
Ich nehme an, du...
Also hast du schon davon... Wenn du mehr darüber... Sie werden nie frei sein.
Aus der Dunkelheit führen.
Hi, ich bin neu. Bis dann.
Fülle unseren Geist mit deinem Wort. Erwache.
Ich will bei euch mitmachen.
PC building, huh?
Sich entschieden, dem Schläfer zu dienen. Geh zu Korkalon. Er entscheidet, für welche Aufgabe du am besten geeignet bist.
That is indeed a very complicated task. I just don't have very much confidence in my skill.
Er wird uns aus der Dunkelheit führen. Lasst euch
The creative sort then.
leugnet sie nicht.
You try putting your narratives and characters to paper or like on a
Du bist das
Google Doc
einzige Licht, o Schläfer. Erleuchte uns.
in a chronological order,
Ich will bei euch...
Erwache.
or for PC building,
Ihm hin.
offering your services
Dein Wort.
to others.
Schläfer, wir sind versammelt, um dein Wort zu empfangen.
Wie werde ich hier auf...
Nichts leichter als das.
Define suck at writing and drawing. For example, writing novels, you don't need any drawing. It's all just the words.
Der Schläfer wird uns in die Freiheit führen, wenn erwacht.
Well, that's what a brainstorm sheet. What a brainstorming sheet is for. You just put down every thought you have, and then once you've laid it all out, you can work on grouping the things that relate to each other. And then once you have everything grouped up, you can then determine in what order you would like to present those thoughts and ideas.
Mach, dass du wegkommst. Mach, dass
Wait,
du
what?
wegkommst.
Oh, crap. I didn't mean to sit down there.
Jetzt setzt es was.
Could I get up here?
Jetzt
In this?
setzt es was.
Pressed F.
Jetzt setzt es was.
For PC building, there's a whole business out of it where it's like there's people who would rather buy pre-built or aren't too intimidated by a tower building, so they rather stick to safe stuff like phones and so you have more ideas that you feel like it's hard to pick what you want to say first. Would that be an apt term for it?
Wie werde ich hier...
Nee, es wird dir hier Warum schleichst du hier rum? Hm? Sieh zu, dass du verschwindest. Na also, geht doch. Jetzt hau schon ab.
Can't talk to him, huh?
Na also, geht doch.
Du hast da drin nichts verloren. Verschwinde.
Yeah, I have that when I did my creative writing and when I wrote my autobiography. Yeah, I feel what you're getting at, that post creative session regret or that post publishing regret. But that's why sequels and spin-offs exist. So all the things you didn't get to show off last time, you can do so, or that you didn't realize you wanted to put in, can be put in again. Because the important thing is just to be able to getting something out there rather than it having to be absolutely perfect and cleaned out, and the feeling of having cleaned out everything in your mind.
Ich habe gehört, du entscheidest, wer aufgenommen wird. Ich will mich der Bruderschaft anschließen.
Schön für dich.
Heck,
Dann
just
weißt du bestimmt auch, dass ich zu beschäftigt
dump everything you do want to say or express
Ich verlasse mich auf das Urteil der Bals.
on like a document or what have you, or draw out whatever shapes and colors you please, and then ask someone close to you. I hesitate to put a name to Ganesh. I'm not a fan of informal diagnosis. I definitely see patterns. And I share myself as someone who did get tested for AD, AUD and ADHD, like confirmed symptoms and the like. But the stuff they do have out, just treat it as a draft, as a first draft of the final product, and then you can ask someone to review it, or even your future self by just like writing or drawing out everything, give it like a few days to a week, and then looking back on it and then seeing what you think is lacking in it. Like when I wrote my autobiography, I wanted to put everything like from start to finish of my life, but then I realized that's way too long. So what I ended up doing is I split off half of it, or I split off a third of it. That was another thing, revision I did, where it was gonna be half. Then I realized it's still too long, so it's gonna be a third. So I only wrote a third of what I wanted to write, and then have that finished. And now I'm working on the second third. And then, for example, if you suck at drawing, then we can start out like I did, which was just tracing out images. And then once you have your traced image, you can like mix and matches heads and poses.
Die Weisheit ruht. Ich suche nach. Hey, ich bin neu hier. Hübsche Frisur. Baum ist der Größte. Sein Trank haut mächtig rein.
Der Schläfer wird uns in die Freiheit führen, wenn
So if you feel like you can have some first steps that you can take in order to be able to get your hobbies that you can't quite get started, then that would be, and that is progress. No, we just met listening to our conversation so far, you're definitely able to express yourself, your flaws, imperfections, and your strength. Do you have what it takes? Oh, interesting. Also tried to get into the whole virtual business, I see. How's that been going? I started out as a PingTuber 5 years ago. You don't want to talk to me, guys. Not you either. Feeling dissatisfied or long for more results?
Ich will ein Templer. Glaub bloß nicht, du kannst hier einfach, bevor du überhaupt... Ich hatte aber auch Hunger.
Können ihn nicht erkennen.
Well, if you feel comfortable sharing, you can drop by in my Discord. In my one of the groups, you can drop your like a voice link. No, there's a browser where you can like record your voice and then like just post a link and then share it. Sure, me and the other rookies would be willing to give you some positive opinions of your voice. Or perhaps validation if you feel like you're lacking confidence. Or Kalom might help if I act like join them. What's scary? The recording part? But one thing I did in fact help too is the more successes you have, the more confidence in what you do. Alright, the cult's recipe. Might use a personal anecdote of mine, for example. We had an operation once where we had to retrieve a certain item from a place, and we came up with 3 different plans: Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Where first one failed, we go to the second one. Oh yeah, I definitely have. When I was getting my GED, they would make us do presentations to the class. We didn't present it live. You had to like record your voice per slide, and so you had to like sit there through each and click through each slide as your voice plays. Now it just wasn't physical pain. But what helped with that specific issue was the speaking voice you currently have. You just set that as like your main voice, and then your speaking voice, because it always sounds different due to the way the sound conducts to your eardrums. And hearing it through some other source, it always sounds different. So you can, if you close your eyes and imagine like a face of someone else, you can like treat it as someone else. That also help. It also helps too, because when I record videos, I have to like re-listen to it to hear what my voice sounds like. I just treat it like someone else, someone very close to me, who I'm doing it for, doing the recording for, or otherwise, if you have the dough, you can get someone else to take a look at your voice and do what needs to be done with it. Doing like a recording for something, for example. And there was that other time I recorded as a, for an audition, or that other time I tried to be a adult pop star, was trying it out, and then your voice would play at the same time as when you did your performance, because it's like a speaker close to the judges, but it's the sound channel is just close enough that you can still hear yourself. So you're hearing like a live feed of your own voice. For some, they get used to it, and you just have to do it more. But that's the way I learned to cope with it.
Wird uns aus der Dunkelheit führen.
But the method I mentioned, you don't need to listen to it yourself before you put it out there. You just sort of do the recording, and then it's already captured. Yeah, and how was it listening to? Neat. And then does that help you with being able to, shall we say, at least tolerate your own voice?
Du hast da drin nichts verloren. Verschwinde.
That's good. And again, progress. Every little bit helps. So if you feel like the method that you might need to take in order to be able to get used to your own voice, you know, just listen to it more, than keep on carrying with what you're doing, I suppose. My particular method of coping is what works for me. Of course, anecdotally, I've also heard having someone express romantic interest into boost your esteem quite a bit, but I've yet to experience that myself, so I can't say for certain that that's a surefire method. Okay, I'm getting lost trying to find that one guy we talked earlier. His now if you need up the stairs to the top. Okay, this is the laboratory. The guy that should be guarding this place isn't here, so this is my opportunity. And then once you can embrace that part of your does it now? 4 left, 1. Move 1 right 3 times. Oops. 1, 2, 3. 2 right twice. 2. Well, I can't have an opinion on that until if I've heard it for myself, so I can't quite comment on that. But glad you have received compliments for your voice, and clearly that means that there are people who find your voice very soothing. And perhaps may even be one of your strengths. Again, we kind of got sidetracked on that conversation too, where it was like, you're talking about your voice more relating to a feeling rather than the main topic itself.
Dafür brauche ich einen Schlüssel.
I crud, I messed up the lockpick. I don't. It saves after the unsuccessful attempt. I don't want to steal another one. Okay, I'm just gonna relaunch it. Hopefully, it saves afterwards here. I noticed you mentioned straight men, though. Have you met individuals who would not consider themselves those words, and then they've expressed a different opinion? They've expressed a different opinion? Or perhaps it was by not necessarily someone of that class, but who mentioned that your voice was to soothe that specific type of person specifically?